pretty much everything is exactly the same.
All right,
So
let's
you
get
can,
started.
all right, brother.
Welcome. This is Robert Cornicelli, National President for Veterans for America First. And, we have a lot of endorsements. We have a lot of guests that we talk to, and I'm honored 95% of the time to talk to these different candidates and different elected officials and national figures. But this guy is definitely one of my favorite. This guy's a hero. He continually brings the fight to the left in some of the worst dark blue areas in this country, and that's Maryland. Lieutenant Colonel Berney Flowers is a hero to me. He served in the military, and getting out, he continued his service fighting for us. I mean, you look at Trump and the milestones he made by fighting against the establishment, and look at the changes he's made, and I put this guy, Lieutenant Colonel Berney Flowers, up on that level. So, Colonel, welcome. It's always great to see you.
Brother Robert, I am humbled that you're taking the time to talk to an old soldier, a fellow soldier, and I'm just as proud of you as you are of me. You know that.
Yes, sir. You'll always be sir, so you have to get used to that.
Man, will you stop?
Now, you know what? You earned it. My brother was a major in the Air Force. He earned it. My buddy from Long Island, Lieutenant Colonel Mike Simonelli, he hated it too. But you earned it. And if we forget about what people earned and we think we've reached the same levels as they have, then we get into the position we're in today. We got to
I've
respect
learned
what they've earned.
I've learned not to argue with you over the years we've known each other. So
Now,
you're going to get your way when it comes to me. How about that?
thank you. So, Colonel, you're running in Maryland's third congressional district. Uh,
Yes, sir.
that's a hard race, but hard dude. Um, tell me about it.
Well, you know, I've lived here for quite a while, about 17 years almost. And we've got Fort Meade here. That's why I came here to work. And when COVID happened, I realized that I was on the wrong side of it. I was working at the time for Alexander Mayorkas over at DHS, and I just realized that the American people were getting a raw deal, and I was in a position with my background and my clearances to do something about it. So that's where we are. This will be my third time running, and it seemed a lot, but this place is a hard nut to crack. This is liberal snowflake heaven. And I know I shouldn't say stuff like that, but that's what I mean. And we've got to make this thing turn around. Otherwise, I think that our American people will suffer. This is where a huge amount of government jobs are. And a lot of liberal politics happen here, and then the people aren't happy. And it's time for a change. And I feel that I can bring a lot to the table with my 34 years of service to this nation, either military or civilian. I've seen a lot, just like you have, and we've run around with a lot of the same people, and you know that we can bring a lot to the table. So I'm throwing my hat in the ring.
You know, as blue as it is, and as you are right, pure snowflake central. But here's the key, though. A buddy of mine, Dr. Chris Hanley, he was one of the doctors on Air Force One years ago. He's in my Republican Party here. He's an amazing guy. He sent me an article this morning about Trump and Linda McMahon are working with Liberty University and the America First Institute to create a national civics platform to put into all the schools to get kids to start learning more about America, learning more about our founders, learning more about civics and why we're here instead of letting the left and the mainstream media tell them we're all bad. And it's funny because there's this woman, Angela Davis. She's a black woman, and
Oh,
she
I'm
was
familiar.
what?
I'm familiar with her.
So did you see the interview where they found out her descendants came from the Mayflower? And
No, I
yeah,
haven't heard that.
I'll send it to you. And her reaction was pure disgust.
That's
Her re,
hilarious.
but her reaction to being part of the founders was pure disgust. But I think
Wow.
if we start teaching these kids about what America really stands for, sure, we've had our problems in 250 years. Sure, we've had setbacks. Slavery is a huge setback, but slavery didn't originate here. It's all over the world. It still exists today. But if we start teaching kids at that school level in your district with leaders like you you could change thousands, hundreds of thousands of minds. You yourself
That's what
turn
we're,
that district red, turn Maryland red if we focus on bringing back pride in this country. And you're the guy
yeah.
to do it.
Well, I appreciate that coming from you with your background. That means a lot because you're the same kind of guy that I am. And but the bottom line is that you're right. I mean, we've got to change our schools. The Marxists of this world have been attacking our schools, and most of us regular people have just been busy working and raising our children, and we don't realize the monumental changes that have happened in our school systems, and we got to reclaim it. And I'm proud of what the president's doing. I'm proud of Miss McMahon. I'm three cheers for him, and anything I can do to help, let's get her done.
If you look at your parent, you're a grandparent, right?
Grandparent, yes, very proud.
As parents, do we do everything right?
Of course not. We're human beings.
Will our children hold it against us for making mistakes? They shouldn't. If we put
They,
our heart and soul into raising them, right?
yes, we do the best that we can.
Look at the country like a parent. It's made mistakes, but it's always tried to correct those mistakes and do the right thing. If we could teach that lesson, like, yeah, we made mistakes, but we learned from them.
I'm all for it.
I think you could make a dent in that state. I pray you make a dent in that state.
Brother, I know you're always with me.
Yeah.
We're two peas in a pod. And yeah, we're gonna fight the fight. I mean, it's an uphill battle, but somebody one day is gonna crack that nut. And I hope it's gonna be me.
I think you will. I think once they institute the civics across the country, that children start learning about our history in the same manner they learn about parenting. And if we could get that message to them, we understand we made mistakes, but let's
Yeah.
go forward. I think every single person, especially in that district, will sit there and go, "Oh my God, I was taught to hate this country. I was taught to hate our founders. I was taught to hate Republicans, who the party was started in what, 1850 something, 54,
Yeah, yeah, the party of Lincoln, you
to
know?
to correct the wrong."
Yes. It was Lincoln who freed the slaves.
Yeah.
It was the Republican Party who freed the slaves. People fail to understand that. And, if I could tell a short story, I'll be really, really quick.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I have a relative that I talk politics with, and this man is in his 80s. And he was arguing with me because he thought it was the Democrats who freed the slaves. And I had to pull it up on, social media and, I think it was Wikipedia or whatever. And he still didn't believe it. And then I pulled a book out of my library, the autobiography of Frederick Douglass, But the bottom line is we've had generations of people that have been misled, bamboozled, and that's got to change. And it starts with us. So that's what I'm all about. That's what Veterans for America First is all about. And let's get after it. Let's get it right now.
I think you are perfect. What's the demographics in that district, black to white?
Oh boy. Let's see. I'm guessing there's about 30% blacks in this area, but there's also a lot of Asians. And when I say Asians, we're talking Chinese, we're talking Indians, we're talking Vietnamese, Taiwanese. These people are all family-oriented people, strong, strong families, church-going people, religious people. Even the Muslims here are very religious people and very strong family-oriented people. And I'm thinking that if we can combine all those ethnicities and the reasonable folks around the area, we can win this thing. We're going to create ourselves a tidal wave of family-oriented people trying to protect their children. And if we can do that, we can win.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't know that the district was the it was 30%, because I was thinking of focusing, prior to, I think it was Roosevelt, FDR, in the black family, I think it was 80% two parent families.
Yes.
And we
The
bring up
marriage rate, the marriage rate among black people before the all this civil rights stuff back in the 60s was actually higher than whites. Now, don't quote me on
Right.
that 30%. I'm pulling this out of my old head, but I think that that number is pretty accurate. But the issue of the day is the black family has been attacked. That's the real deal. And the what do you call it? Great Society programs of Lyndon Johnson have not worked. They've they've limited the black community, and only 27% of black women actually get married. Now think about that. That cannot be a good thing, which means that about 75% of black children are born without their father married to the mom. That is not a good thing. We need fathers in the household, and our government is encouraging this fatherlessness crisis that we have. So I'm totally against that. And we got to fix a few things. We got to fix a lot of things. And that's one of the things I want to fix. We need to make sure the government's on the side of keeping families together, not driving
It,
families apart.
that's the key. And see, with the black family, and the reason I'm bringing up race, and it's not because you're black, it's because I think that demographic has been bamboozled since Eleanor Roosevelt, Margaret Sanger came up with this whole idea of breaking up the black family, keeping them dependent on the government, keeping them dependent on welfare. And if you have fatherless homes, you have mothers who are at home who depend solely on the government for resources. But this demographic is key for the Republican Party right now. It's right
Yes.
picking, and I don't want me to say like they're not human beings, but we need to offer them because they have been given slavery was that hundreds of years ago. I'm talking about in the last 50 years, 60 years. They've been given a raw deal as citizens, and they were
Yes.
intentionally broken up. Their family was intentionally targeted. Planned Parenthoods in every community, liquor stores
It's
in every
murder.
corner. And you notice if you're going to the inner city, there's a liquor store in every corner. And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a pawnbroker and a fast checking company
But no real jobs.
and no real schools. That is the key. And you are the guy, along with McMahon and Trump, that if we can bring back civics and education and try to keep families together and forget this Planned Parenthood and aborting babies, and you could turn this country around just starting there, showing people that they've been targeted by the same people that they're relying on. I hate
There
it.
you go.
I hate it but the people are seeing.
Oh,
See,
yeah. People are starting to wake up, brother. And, I'm
Malcolm
glad
X
you
said
brought
it.
that up.
Malcolm X said
Say
it.
again?
The enemy of the country, the enemy of the black family, the enemy of any minority family is the white liberal.
Yes, you are correct. You are correct. So, that's where I'm coming from. And that's what, Veterans for America First, we're trying to keep our families together. We're trying to protect veterans. It all goes together. We're patriots. I mean, I don't want to put myself in that category, but the truth is, we are patriotic people trying to keep our country together. And if we don't step up for it, who will?
Well, I know you will. There's
I
no
know you
doubt you
will.
will. And you have the tools. You have everything you need to change this country. Me, if I'm in me running in South Carolina, what am I? I'm one of nine Republicans, What would impact? You turning that district around and then that state around, one day you could be governor and really turn it around.
Well, brother, I don't know about all that. I just know that I have an urgent need to keep this country afloat, just like you. And we're fighting the same fight. And, people don't realize how much we communicate. We're always texting each other and talking. And this is a rare opportunity for us to actually talk and record it, you know. So I'm just thrilled to be involved with you guys. I think it's what have been 2 or 3 years now that we've been together, and you've been very, very supportive, and it gives me the power and gives me the encouragement to think that I can actually win this district. And I really believe we can.
Yeah, I see big things in your future. I pray you win, but I think on a state level one day, you win, you do a couple of terms in Congress, but you're a governor, you're a leader, you're a CEO, man, and one day you're going to turn Maryland around. I really believe that because you don't give up.
Well, I'm just stubborn. We learned that in the military,
Yeah.
eating the same dirt, man.
So I got to sit cross-legged. I got my leg iced. So tell me about your military service.
Well, brother, I spent 21 years in the Air Force. I've been to the same places you have been. I mean, you know, the military, as you know, is days of boredom followed by moments of terror, you know, and most of those moments of terror, over Camp Victory in Iraq. I mean, I was over at Afghanistan back in 2003. The scariest I've been was in the Ukraine because I was there in 2003 before it was cool. And I can't tell you what I was doing, but I'm just going to say it was an interesting experience. But my background is communications and satellite, that type stuff. Spent a lot of time out at Schriever out west. Actually, 13 years I spent out west and Colorado, New Mexico, um, Arizona, Texas, all over the West, and most of my career was out there, and a whole lot less. I did time at the Pentagon, and notice I said did time because it felt like jail to me, and I was there during 911. So I had a pretty robust career, and I got a chance to do a lot of different things. It wasn't fun at the time, but now I look back on those days and I cherish them because the friendships that I made are irreplaceable. The people that I met and the experiences I have, I'd like to take those experiences and use them for the American people. So that's kind of what we're doing here, bro.
Tell me what you're fighting for in Maryland.
Fairness, America first values, period. You know, and we've lost those America first values. I mean, I spent time after I retired over at DHS, and Um, everything was cool when I was working at Fort Meade, but when I went over to DHS, I saw corruption that you wouldn't believe. And the Biden administration, I really believe they were trying to bankrupt this country. And I felt like I was actually helping to do it. And I feel an obligation to try to make right the things that I participated in. So here we are. So that's why you'll see me on Newsmax. And that's why you see me supporting Veterans for America First and all the things that we do together. I got a debt to pay, and that's what I'm trying to do is make up for the things that we did. And, I will never, ever pay that debt off, but we will try.
You're a one in a million, man. Just I wish you were here in South Carolina. I'm going to get you down here. No,
One of these
one in a
days, brother.
million. And it makes guys like me feel like there's a future. Like I told you, I have young kids. My son just turned 11
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago. My daughter just turned 15 a couple weeks ago, and I'm
awesome.
57. I'm worried. And I try to tell one of my friends down here that I met, there's no more retirement. In the 80s and 90s, people retired to Florida and they went into retirement golfing every day. Those days are over. We're a
Yeah.
war, we're in an ideological war that we must fix in the next 3 years. But Veterans for America First, myself, we put together, I know you helped the HALO Act, hands off our law enforcement officers. That's passed in Florida. It's about to be signed in Georgia.
And that was your baby. We're
You
all in
helped.
support of you, but that was you wrote that thing, and I'm so proud of you.
Well, recently, Lieutenant Governor Evett here in South Carolina had me speak before the Republican Lieutenant Governors Association, and this is going national, and I'm going to send you the national bill. That what we want is the federal government to issue. We want Congress to make a law, the HALO law, because I've been doing a lot of research on it, and I'm not an attorney, but if Congress passes a law that you must stay 25 feet back from all law enforcement officers, local, state, and federal, counties and states they um they can't create a local law to counter that. They must follow that
Exactly.
law.
If
Uh,
I get into Congress, you can best believe I will be sponsoring that bill.
well, I'm going to send it to you because we got to protect our law enforcement officers, and you know this, Veterans for America First. We don't just fight for veterans, we fight for law enforcement officers. And I know you, as well as I, cannot stand when people are in the faces of those law enforcement officers. I say it like this. When you're driving your car and you got a nice safe space between you and the person in front of you, and someone cuts in there, what happens? You get mad.
Somebody's going to have an accident.
But you get mad because you were safe
Oh,
and now
yeah,
someone just made you feel unsafe.
exactly.
How do you think those cops feel when someone's right here and there's no safe space? They can't protect their weapon. can't protect themselves. So we have to give them that those, couple of car lengths worth of space. So it tones down the attitude and
We
the
got to protect our Leos, brother. We got to. I mean, they're out there putting their lives on the line, just like we did when we were in, the Middle East, and it's a dangerous situation. Look what's going on in Chicago. Look what's going on in Portland. You could literally walk up to a Leo and snatch his weapon or her weapon. Absolutely unset. We got to protect our police officers, and we got to protect our ICE agents. We got to protect our law enforcement officials.
in fobs and whatnot, how far away they didn't just let anyone drive up to the gate,
Oh no.
right? There had to be, you had to stop like 100
You had
meters.
a perimeter, brother. You had a perimeter, and that perimeter was sometimes, a mile out. Depends on where you were.
Yeah,
So bottom line is, yeah, we got to protect our Leos.
no law
Don't put them in
enforcement
harm's
officers have
way.
to, yeah,
Keep them safe.
yeah. And not only that, provide them an opportunity to go to work and not have to feel intimidation every single day and high blood pressure and constantly having someone in your face 24 hours, 7 days a week, whenever you're going to work. It's not healthy.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Shortens your life.
But it's great that you are on the side of so many bills and efforts to keep law enforcement officers safe, keep our first responders safe, increase benefits for veterans. I know I sent you a couple of copies of our national veteran bill. I'm going to send that to you again. I made some tweaks to it, but I'll give you a quick example. You have TRICARE for life. I don't know if you have
I
TRICARE.
do. I do.
When you get to the age of, I don't know what's the age where you get Social Security. I think it's 65 or 60,
65. Yeah.
65. What happens? They switch you to Medicare, right?
Yes, they do.
And what
That's
happens?
that is not what they promised us.
And what happens when you're on Medicare? You now have premiums.
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
TRICARE for life. You get it in the military because you're injured. And just because you hit 65, all of a sudden they take away your TRICARE. It doesn't say TRICARE till you're 65. It says TRICARE for life.
Yeah. And who
You take
voted for
it
that?
away. What?
I didn't vote for that.
No, but it doesn't. It says TRICARE for life.
That's what they told us when we were signing up when we were 18 years old. But things have changed, and we got to change things back to where, the government needs to keep its promises to the military people that have literally given up their youth to protect this country.
There's so many
That's a
things.
solemn oath.
Yeah. And there's so many things you can do in there for veterans. Here's another one. Why would the government say you have 10 years to use your GI Bill? What if you want to raise a family? What if you
Yeah.
start? You do a semester at school, and then you meet the girl of your dreams or the guy of your dreams. You have a family, and you have 9 years left to use your GI Bill. No, that's mine. I want it for life. I might want to go
Earned
from
for life.
separately. What?
Yeah. For life.
Yeah.
These are things that were promised to us for life. And back in the 80s, when I came in, when you came in, they weren't talking about any limits on this. They said, this is for the rest of your life. This is for your family for the rest of their lives. And there's a gradual encroachment upon our benefits, and we got to stop that. And if I get into Congress, I'm going to do everything I can to restore those benefits to what they should be.
Sir, you are the perfect person, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to beat up on Lindsey Graham, but I'm not happy with him. I presented our Veterans for America First bill, which you're part of, the Veterans First Act to Lindsey Graham at a recent conference, and I said this bill will probably cost $40 billion. What it does is every Vietnam veteran who's ever stepped foot in Vietnam is automatically 100% service connected disabled. There's no reason that they need to fight against liver fluke. They need to fight against burn pits. They need to fight against all the things that have Agent Orange. Like, why are they fighting for these benefits? Every single one, any person who's ever seen combat, automatically 100% service connected disabled. Just because you
Yeah.
drove down Route Irish and you did not get hit by an IED, the fact of the matter is you have PTSD, whether you know it or not, for having to drive down there and wondering when it's going to happen.
You
Automatic.
know,
You see combat, 100% service connected disabled. You know what he said? 40 billion. Who's going to vote for that? I said, well, you found a couple of trillion through USAID. You can spend it
uh-huh.
all over. These are the people that will never stand up for guys like you and me and the rest of our battle buddies. but you will. I know you.
Yes, I will.
I know if that bill
Yes, I will.
came before you, you'd be jumping up and down saying this is going to get signed.
Oh yeah, you know that. You would never let me rest until I did it.
I wouldn't have to. Actually, I would rest because I know you would do it.
Of course. Of
This,
course. You know, it's funny you mentioned burn pits because I had a kind of a college reunion just last week, and it was kind of weird, you know, because the chancellor came up here from little Pembroke State University down in North Carolina where I went. They call it UNCP now. But the issue of the day is our old ROTC debt. I found out that one of the younger pups, I say younger, I mean, we are all retired now, but this guy had exposure to a burn pit, got a little bit too much in his lungs, and here he is didn't make it to 55 years old. He died of respiratory failure as a result of being exposed to those burn pits that we were breathing in back in those days. And, you know, another story, I mean, another friend of mine, he's a Vietnam guy, and I went and visited him down in North Carolina. He's a family friend and actually an in-law, and he was in the hospital because of what he ingested in Vietnam back in the 60s. And he's dying very, very slowly and very, very painfully in a way that nobody deserves. And it's all attributable to Agent Orange and some of those crazy chemicals that our government sprayed upon our own soldiers. So, yeah, I'm a little pissed off.
yeah, and that's what makes you special because most of those people in there, they don't care. And why should the attorneys, why should the lawyers make all this money fighting for people with for burn pits and Agent Orange and liver fluke? Liver fluke's the new one. I brought this up
Yeah.
in 2019 to Lee Zeldin, and he started a committee to study liver fluke, a congressional committee. It's a parasite that's only found in Southeast Asia. All these
Yeah.
veterans are coming down with it 30 years later. It stays dormant in your system. And then 30, 40 years ago, this liver fluke starts destroying your organs.
Yep.
You know what they did recently? Nick LaLota from Long Island took credit for it. I thought it was going to be Vietnam veterans are covered.
Yeah.
He made an announcement. We just voted on starting the Liver Fluke Study Act. They st
It frustrates me to think that these people don't want to take care of the commitments that our government made to our soldiers years ago. And after we've given up our youth, then they want to come back and say, oh, we can't pay for this, but we can send, you know, goo gobs of money to the Ukraine, or we can send goo gobs of money to some, you know, place that doesn't even like us. You know, just like you mentioned, that whole USAID thing. That's crazy. And the money that's being recovered for that could be given to veterans, or at least a portion of it, and solve most of our problems.
there's not a there's not a single ailment someone receives in the military that shouldn't be covered. I don't care if they have a stubbed toe.
Yeah.
Just cover them. What are they faking? Like what is it? Does it matter this person served? They may have hurt their knee walking off the base the day after they got they got their DD 214 and discharge. What does it matter? You give
Yeah.
free healthcare to illegal aliens in hospitals.
Oh,
Like
you're
and
just trying to make me mad, aren't you?
yeah, but and they can walk into the hospital and get care, yet a veteran's got to fight.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's just terrible. And there's so many. I don't know anybody that's made it up to our age that retired that's not broken up in some way. You know, I'm 80% disabled, and you know, every time I raise my elbow right here, rotator cuff from all those push-ups, it hurts like the dickens. But after a while, you just get used to it, you know? And so there's all kinds of little things wrong. But you know, all of us, we got all kinds of things wrong. And our government, we did these things that were inherently governmental, and they should be taken care of it in an inherently governmental way. And more importantly, as you mentioned, we were given TRICARE for life, and why it was taken away and who signed off on taking it away from us. That person needs to be held accountable. And if I get into office, you can best believe I'll be looking for that person.
Well, it's the first one in our Veterans First Act. It's
Yep.
TRICARE for life can never be taken away. We don't go on Medicare. We don't go on Medicaid. You have TRICARE for life and your family.
That's the way it should be. That's right. Family too.
So God, I pray you win. This country needs you in Congress. They
Brother, I
need you.
appreciate with all the background that you have, um, coming from you, that means a lot because you know me pretty doggone well. And I'm just trying to do the right thing, man. We got obligations and we took that oath and the oath doesn't go away.
And you know what's funny? You're not 18, you're not 25, you're not 30, where it's all about ambition and how much power I can get. You could go off and retire. You're like Trump. You can just go off and retire and live your life. Yet you're back in here fighting for those who can't fight for themselves. Man, it's the best.
Brother, I appreciate you recognizing that. And as we said, I got grandkids, man, and I want them to live like we have and at least as well as I have. And then once I can relax a little bit, maybe I'll come down to South Carolina and buy that horse farm that I promised myself years ago.
That's what I want.
Amen.
Nice horse farm. Um, Sir, it's great to see you again. It's great to talk to you. You renew you relight my fire every time we talk because sometimes we start to say, "What the heck, man? I could just go out golfing and relax and retire."
Uh,
But sometimes everyone needs their pilot light relit, and you just did it again. Um, and it's an honor to have you here. You're part of Veterans for America First. You help keep us going. And I know when you get into Congress, you're going to sway the minds of some people who just don't know how to make decisions on their own, their followers. And they're going to
yeah.
see what a real leader is, what a real man is. And that's another key. This whole thing about toxic masculinity. No, we need to bring back masculinity. Men need to be controlled violent at all times. You need to be able to flip a switch and defend your family, your friends, and your community without regard for whoever is trying to do harm upon them. Controlled violent masculinity, you're going to bring that back. And people in that district are so lucky to have you there. You're going to teach young boys how to be men. And that's the key in this country because there's a full-on globalist open society war on men. You destroy men, you weaken society. You take away their guns, you take away their masculinity, you turn into the UK where it's overrun.
Yeah. We can't have that,
Bring it
brother.
back. You were going to bring it back.
I'm gonna do my best, but for you, remember, iron sharpens iron. I get a whole lot more from you than you get from me, man.
I don't know about that. I'm just
Just
a
the truth.
captain.
You know what's true.
Just a captain. You're a colonel.
That was a long time ago. Now I'm just a grumpy old soldier.
Nah, you're doing great things. It was great to have you. We gotta talk face to face a little more. As soon as my hoof heals up, I'm gonna come down there and see you. Help you
Well,
out a little.
brother, I look forward to seeing you. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you. And rather than you come up here, maybe I need to go down there and get some of that nice warm weather.
Definitely. It's beautiful down here. It's beautiful.
Amen.
Folks, this is Robert Cornicelli, National President for Veterans for America First, with the great, and I mean the great, Lieutenant Colonel Berney Flowers. He's running for Congress in Maryland's 3rd Congressional District. Colonel, it's always a pleasure.
Amen, brother. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to the next time we can chat.
Anytime. Let me shut this off here.